What's going on, everyone? So, the Los Angeles Lakers are essentially having everybody opt in. And it's kind of looking like a roster in which we're probably running it back. Now, I hope that that's not the case, right? It really feels like a trade. Obviously, a trade is necessary. Obviously, a trade needs to happen and develop because the Lakers are probably not good enough. Like, I do think that this team, if they were to run it back, again, don't necessarily want them to do that, but let's say, for argument's sake, that they do. I do believe this team will be better. I think with JJ Redick properly slotting guys, the offensive philosophies that he's going to play, I think he will elevate guys, and I think we will be a much better team. You have another year of chemistry. You add a piece or two, right? Let's say you get a Valanciunas or something. The problem is the Lakers roster is stacked, and we're going to touch on that here in a moment. But, again, let's say you run it back, right? I do think with that coach, another year of chemistry, and then just guys being better and health, right? That's another big thing. If guys are healthy, it's kind of like what would we have been if everyone was healthy last year? And even last year, it was like if we were in the Dallas bracket, we would have been in the NBA Finals playing Boston instead of Dallas, right? But this team, you look at it and you're like, they're not a top 5 roster, and everyone's getting better. Right? I mean, even the Pelicans just got DeJounte Murray. They're better, right? So that's why I don't necessarily want to run it back. Yes, I think we would be much better than we were last year, but you have all these teams getting better, and you still have teams that missed the playoffs last year that are now going to be better in Memphis, right? And then also the Warriors look like they may be getting Paul George. It may have already happened by the time you're watching this video. So again, it's like you have all these teams. There's that concern. But more than anything, you look at this roster and it's like you have clear log jams. Now, if you trade D'Lo, you have to address the point guard position. That's a big thing. And that's a big thing that I don't see a lot of people talking about and mentioning, right? Let's say you trade D'Lo for, and some other piece. Let's say you trade him for like Zach LaVine, right? Who's your starting point guard? Are you having Reeves do that? We saw that last year. He's not ready. Doesn't handle ball pressure well. He can't really make plays. He can find the open man. He can, find the occasional cutter. He can throw the lob. But to actually be a point guard that's seeing things develop before they develop, he gets tunnel vision, right? Like, there's a lot. Like, Reeves, we saw him run his own units last year, and we had the worst offensive ratings, the worst ratings, period, when he was on assignment that way. So that's not going to work. Okay, so then what? Are you moving Gabe Vincent into the starting unit? Okay, but again, he's not really a playmaker. He's an initiator. But the entire idea is to have LeBron play more off ball. If you're moving LeBron and having LeBron play the point, even if he's slotted at the 4, basically you're having Reeves or Gabe or whomever kind of initiate the offense and then pass it off to LeBron, then fine. But that doesn't sound like what JJ and the Lakers want to do, what they want to run. And LeBron has talked about for 6 years how he wants to play more off ball. It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to actually do it. LeBron hasn't done a good job of doing that. He has his moments, right? But for the most part, he still dominates the ball a lot, right? So to me, it's like, if you trade D'Lo, you got to figure out the point guard position. I'm not saying you have to keep D'Lo. I'm not saying you should keep D'Lo. I'm just saying it's something that's going to need addressing. But beyond that, you look at our 2s and 3s, we're pretty flush there, right? You almost have to trade Jalen Hood-Schifino at this point because you got Bronny, right? And then beyond that, the 2 spot, right? You have Austin Reeves, you have Max Christie, you have Connect, right? Connect 4, which glad he got the number 4 now, but you got Connect 4, right? So you have those 3 right off the bat. That's not counting guys like Maxwell Lewis, that if you want to get him some burn and him some run, Jalen Hood-Schifino could play the 2 if you wanted him to. If Taurean Prince sticks around, he can do it. Cam Reddish, right? There's a lot of guys that you have at that 2, and then same thing with the 3. Because it's okay, well, you could play Connect and Christie at the 3 if you wanted to, although I think that they're best slotted at the 2, especially Connect. I know a lot of people are like, yeah, but Connect can play the 3. He's a small forward. Yes, but with his size, he's not 6'8", right? He's 6'5", 6'6", right? So the best way to kind of utilize, especially his skill set, would be at the 2, right? So to me, it's like, okay, you got this logjam at the 2, but you're not trading Connect, you're probably not trading Reeves, and you're not trading Max Christie. But that's fine. Okay, I'm okay with that because you can run, they're all 6'5", 6'6". You can run them together on the court. And it's not even counting if Spencer Dinwiddie sticks around. I didn't even mention that, which if Spencer Dinwiddie sticks around, then I think you're fine at the point guard position because he does a lot of the same stuff that D'Lo does, right? So you can just kind of slot him in, something that I should have thought of, but nonetheless, still, it still begs the question of, okay, well then, are you trading Gabe? Like, what ends up happening? But neither or another, sticking on the path here. You look and you move over to the 3. You have like Jared Vanderbilt, you have Maxwell Lewis, right? Those 2 guys can play the 3. Taurean Prince sticks around. You got Taurean Prince, Cam Reddish, right? You got all these guys. I mean, Rui can play the 3. LeBron can play the 3. Right? Now, I think Rui is best at the 4, but they want to play AD more at the 4, right? That's the idea, right? So if you're doing that, then now it's like, okay, AD's probably playing, let's say 35 minutes a game. He's probably playing, I don't know, 15 minutes at the least at the center position, and then probably another 20 at the 4. And then LeBron's playing probably 15 minutes at the 4, right? So then it's like, okay, and then if he slides over to the 3, then, okay, well, now he's playing, say, 20 minutes at the 3. You only have 28 minutes between each things, and you have to get guys like, whoever's starting at, let's say it's Vando starting at 3, right? So if he plays the 15 minutes or whatever that LeBron is at the 4, well, then now you only have, 13 minutes that you have to divvy up between Rui and, everyone else. And you're playing guys like Connect. And so it's just like there's clearly this logjam. So I think that the Lakers, beyond the fact that, like, hey, we need to upgrade this roster, and that's a very important thing, like, in and of itself, right? Like, you gotta improve because everyone else is improving, right? But beyond that, it's just like, how do you slot all these guys? How do you get all these guys playing time, right? Because again, like, okay, you could just not play any of the young guys, right? Like Maxwell Lewis, you could have continue to develop, but like, isn't the idea to like play youth with the vets, and that way we're not wearing out like our key 8 guys or whatever, and that way we're developing our guys at the same time as playing guys. I'm not saying you have to, like Maxwell Lewis, you don't have to play. I'm not saying play him 20 minutes, right? But even then, even if you do, let's say Jalen Trifino, Maxwell Lewis end up just going to the G League and they develop along with Bronny, right? Say those 3 guys bench, and go to the G League to develop. Again, you still have Austin Reeves, Max Christie, Gabe Vincent, Connect, Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura, and that's not counting Cam Reddish, Taurean Prince if he ends up sticking around, right? And if those guys leave, you're probably getting some of that. It's just, you gotta kind of address that. Now, obviously, that's great if you end up having another season like you did last year where you had a bunch of injuries, but you're not really banking on that, and you have other positions of need. You need another center, right? But if you're already 15 out, you can't go sign a Valanciunas if he becomes available, right? We got free agency. I mean, we're here, right? Like, so it's like, how do you make this work without some type of trade? So the Lakers got to be cooking something up. Now, is it that big impactful trade? That's the question. I don't know. And a lot of people, like Trae Young, for example, right? Or Zach LaVine, whomever, right? Like a lot of people are like, oh, if you trade for him, what about the depth? Again, we have a logjam, right? The guys you're trading to go get those guys are all guys that are part of the logjam that we have. So now you're kind of sewing up that, and now you're basically getting it down to the core guys that you want to play those positions, right? So, let's say you trade D'Lo, Gabe Vincent, and Rui Hachimura to go get Zach LaVine. Just say Zach LaVine, right? Because a lot of people don't like when I talk about Trae. So Zach LaVine, right? So now you have Austin Reeves, Zach LaVine, and Connect, basically, and Max Christie as like your 2 and 3. You can play them at 3 at times and, run multiple together, and it's fine because they're all getting 6'6", right? So you're fine there, right? But then now it's just like primarily like Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron sliding over to the 3, AD sliding over the 4, right? So now you're good. And you still are probably signing a couple guys because you got to fill in those roster spots. You're probably bringing in, say a Valanciunas. And, can you get a Jalen Smith or something like that, right? And he's slotting over. So now you're good, right? Can you get those pieces? Now, that's not counting, Max Chris or Cam Reddish or and these other guys. And again, you could play Max at the 3 in spots or Connect at the 3 in spots. Now, depending on the team, you could probably even play Reeves at the 3. Not saying you do that regularly, right? Like you don't want to do that against, say, Denver, but you play in, a team that has like a 6'5" small forward, like you could probably do that against like Indiana and stuff like that, right? Where you could slide him over. So I just don't think that, I think you'd kind of solve the logjam. You'd still have plenty of depth, but you'd have that guy that raises your ceiling rather significantly is where I'm at. So it almost feels like a trade has to happen and we're imminent, but in the same breath, 2 years ago now, it looked that way in the offseason when we had like 15 point guards that were all 6'1", and the Lakers didn't make a trade till the trade deadline. So I don't know, right? Like I want to say that something gets done. I want to say the Lakers make a trade, but in the same breath, it's like we saw this script before and we didn't pull a trade till the trade deadline, which again, maybe we make a trade at the trade deadline, but like I don't want to, I'd rather have our roster locked up ready to go. And then if we get to the trade deadline and we're looking to make a trade at the deadline, it's a minor trade. It's like, okay, like we could use another small forward, like a sizable small forward, or man, like Vanderbilt hasn't improved his 3-point shooting enough. So like, let's go get, Dorian Finney-Smith and slot him in, right? Like, boom, now you're doing that. It's kind of where I'm at with that. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think like, yes, you got to get a trade done? Right? Like, do you agree that like, hey, yeah, there is this clear, like kind of log jam. Like, where do you slot all these guys, particularly in the 2, right? Which is why it's like, okay, if you're going to keep Max Christie and you believe Max Christie is the guy, you almost have to trade Austin Reeves at some point, right? Like, if Max Christie's really the guy that you're banking on and he's the money guy, they both play the same position. And like Max Christie isn't big enough to play the 3 full time, right? Like he is a 2. And at some point, he's not going to want to be a backup forever. And if Max Christie really is that guy that develops, then it's like, you got to go with him, right? So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. Maybe after the LeBron and AD era, maybe they'll look to trade Reeves. I don't know. We'll see. But it's just, it's going to be a wild offseason for sure. But anyway, again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.